Maxforce Quantum.
Looks a bit different though, doesn't it?
It does. It looks a little bit
I
different.
seem to remember a bottle or something last
Yeah, a
time.
little sauce bottle.
Yeah.
But we had a lot of feedback over the last few years just in regards to the packaging for Maxforce Quantum, and we decided to go with the individual gel tubes, similar to cockroach bait tubes. They are much easier to, I guess, apply placements to certain areas. They're a little bit smaller, so you're not carrying around a huge bottle, and they're packaged individually. You can use a gel gun with them now.
Jeff, talking about Maxforce Quantum, could you help explain or elaborate on the HVL technology in Maxforce Quantum? What makes it so palatable?
Sure. What makes Quantum so unique is that we've designed this around the behaviour of ants, and worker feeders are looking for moisture sources. They feed on moisture, and we've made a bait that tries to mimic that the best we can. Other products that are granules or more gel-like substances make it more difficult for them to either carry, consume or digest. And having the most liquid formulation we can create and still have some usability built into it makes it a very attractive bait. So within that matrix we have this HVL technology. What that means is that when we put the product out, it doesn't necessarily dry out. In fact, it actually will tend to absorb moisture from the atmosphere, so it stays attractive for much, much longer. And we know that to get the best success out of ant baiting is to get as much consumption as we can, as quick as we can. And that's what Quantum does really, really well. It's a very stable formulation. As we put it out, it stays in that format for quite a long period of time. It doesn't harden up, it doesn't go off, it doesn't change colour, so it gives us every chance to get as much feeding as possible.
So what that means is those workers can ingest that liquid because it is a liquid. Workers can ingest it on the site, get rapid take up, and also take it back to the nest to transfer to and to feed other ants in that colony.
Yeah, that's correct, and it's that palatability that ultimately makes any bait the most effective, and without question we found this matrix to be extremely attractive bait for many species.
Some pest controllers want a gel. What do you need to put into an ant bait to get a gel to be that consistency?
Yeah, well, a lot of different constituents, agents, and all of those have some impact one way or another on palatability, and so trying to keep it as pure as possible makes it the most attractive. So, it is a very simple but very effective matrix. And one thing that's really key to it is that it has, a broad spectrum of attractancy. And we spoke about in the best practice ant section that it can in fact in part mimic the activity or the attractancy of some of the granule products that are out there.
Right, because it's broad spectrum, we're getting control over sugar and protein feeders. We may close the gap without having a granule, so to speak.
Yeah, I think where it's appropriate to apply it and where it suits to apply a liquid, I think it's appropriate. If some areas aren't suited to a granule or a liquid, and obviously that wouldn't be somewhere where we want to put Quantum. But what is quite unique about it is it's able to attract ants for different reasons. And whilst ants might be protein feeders or considered to be protein feeders, they will feed on sugars at certain times during the year, as will sugar feeders sometimes feed on proteins and even oils. That's what this product tries to play on, and that there may be some preference towards other food types whilst they might be considered more a protein feeder or a sugar feeder. As well as that, some ants might just want to be moisture, and this is a high moisture product. And so, if moisture is the most limiting resource, you'll attract most species seeking moisture if they can't find it. And I guess that's really what ant baiting is all about. It's about playing on, what are the most limiting resources at that point in time. If, a sugar feeding ant has a lot of sugar available, they may be looking or be more attracted to something that's not a sugar, and it may be moisture, and vice versa with a protein feeder. They have a lot of protein available, might be attracted to sugar because it's the most limiting resource. It's the thing that's going to run out first. We better get that before we come back to the protein that we know is readily available. So it's about playing off the behavioural traits of the ants that are there at the time. And that's probably the most important, I guess, bit of information, is that when you put the bait out, observe what the ants are doing. Ensure that you're actually going to get uptake in the first place. There's no point putting it out hoping they're going to come and feed on it. Try and recruit ants to those placements and ensure that they're actually going to feed on it. Otherwise, you need to come up with another solution. That may be a granule product, or it may not, and it may require you to think more laterally and go for more a residual spray type product to overcome the problem.
Absolutely. So we're not ruling out granules, depending on the
Not at all, yeah.
depending on the environment and where you need to put it down. If a granule's better or a liquid's better, and also understanding that ants can be preferential feeders depending on what their food source is what their food availability is at the time. But Maxforce Quantum, most importantly, offering broad spectrum control and absorbing a lot of moisture to be able to contain moisture to offer that to the ants.
Yeah, and that's why we say it can fill the void. It can fill the gap of more dedicated products, and why we've been able to, I guess, substitute or I guess in part make up some of the loss of removing the granule bait from our portfolio.
Absolutely.